Life isn't about fitting into someone else's expectations or fulfilling an image created by society. As women, we are often made to believe that our value is tied to our relationships. Our worth somehow depends on whether we're partnered or alone. But today I want to talk about something crucial. Our worth does not hinge on whether or not we have someone by our side. We live in a world that constantly projects images of perfection, perfect bodies, perfect relationships, perfect careers. And women are often at the forefront of this societal pressure. From a young age, we're taught that in order to be valued, we must meet certain standards. We're expected to be attractive, successful, nurturing, and flawless in every aspect of our lives. These ideals are ingrained in us through media, social expectations, and sometimes even the people closest to us. As we grow older, this pressure intensifies. We start believing that if we don't live up to these impossible standards, we are somehow failing. The truth is, the illusion of perfection is just that, an illusion. It doesn't exist in the real world, yet it's often treated as an ideal to which women should aspire. This illusion creates an internalized belief that unless we fit a particular mold, we are not enough. It tells us that we should always be smiling, always look a certain way, and always have our lives figured out. It tells us that if we're not in a relationship, there's something wrong with us. If we're not constantly achieving or maintaining some standard of beauty, then we're somehow inadequate. But perfection doesn't reflect reality. Every person has their struggles, their imperfections, and their unique journey. When we stop chasing perfection, we free ourselves from the constant stress of trying to meet unattainable expectations. It's crucial to realize that we are not defined by a picture-perfect version of ourselves. The real beauty comes in the authenticity, the flaws, and the strength to embrace our true selves. Instead of aiming to be flawless, we should strive to be real. Being real means accepting that we are imperfect and acknowledging that those imperfections make us unique and worthy. We don't need to pretend to have it all together. It's okay to have moments of vulnerability, to not always look or feel our best. The true essence of who we are lies in the way we embrace our imperfections and show up as our authentic selves. When we release the need to be perfect, we begin to heal and live with a sense of peace. We stop measuring our worth by how well we match up to others' expectations, and instead we measure it by how fully we accept and love ourselves as we are. Self-love and acceptance are foundational to living a fulfilling life, yet for many they can feel like foreign concepts. Society often conditions us to believe that our worth is contingent on external validation, our appearance, our achievements, and our relationships. We are taught to seek approval from others and to measure our value based on how well we meet others' standards. As a result, we can easily forget the most important source of validation, ourselves. The truth is, we cannot fully give or receive love from others until we learn to love and accept ourselves first. Self-love is not about being narcissistic or self-centered. It's about recognizing your inherent worth, treating yourself with kindness, and giving yourself permission to be imperfect. It means acknowledging your flaws without judgment, forgiving yourself for past mistakes, and embracing the person you are right now. Self-love is a commitment to taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being, regardless of how the world around you perceives you. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when needed, and prioritizing your own happiness without guilt. Acceptance, on the other hand, is the quiet power that allows us to stop fighting against ourselves. It's about embracing who we are, our strengths, our weaknesses, our achievements, and our failures. Often we spend so much time wishing we were someone else or trying to conform to a mold that society has created for us. We tell ourselves we need to change or be different to be worthy. But true acceptance is about letting go of these limiting beliefs and understanding that we are enough, just as we are. It's about letting go of the idea that we have to be anything other than who we truly are. When we practice self-love and acceptance, we stop seeking validation from others to feel worthy. We stop living in fear of judgment or rejection. Instead, we build a sense of inner peace that radiates outward. We begin to make choices that align with our true values, and we attract people who appreciate us for who we are, not for what we can offer for them. The more we accept ourselves, the less we rely on others to complete us or define our worth. Self-love isn't about perfection. It's about embracing our humanity and recognizing that we are deserving of the love, respect, and happiness that we often give to others. The concept of the wall has been popularized in society as a turning point for women, a point where they are thought to suddenly lose their value or relevance, especially in terms of relationships and desirability. It's often described as a moment when women reach a certain age or experience a shift in their lives where they are no longer seen as the young, vibrant, and attractive version of themselves. Society places this expectation on women, suggesting that after this so-called wall, their opportunities for love, success, and happiness will decline. But the reality is, the idea of hitting the wall is rooted in misconceptions, outdated beliefs, and societal pressure rather than truth. The wall is often painted as a hard, unscalable boundary that signifies a woman's decline, but this is far from accurate. What many call the wall is simply a time of transition, an evolution in priorities, desires, and self-understanding. It's a natural part of life, and it doesn't reflect any loss of value or beauty. In fact, it's often a time when women become more self-aware, more in touch with their goals, and more focused on their personal growth. It's not about reaching a point where one's worth diminishes, but rather about entering a phase where the search for external validation slows and the pursuit of self-fulfillment takes center stage. This perceived wall isn't something that's universally experienced or felt by every woman. Some women may reach a point in their lives where they no longer feel the need to conform to society's pressures, and where no one conformed to society's pressures for the feeling it's consistent to be in peak performance, while others may continue to evolve and grow. The wall is subjective. It's not a physical boundary, but rather a mental or emotional construct that society imposes. And each woman experiences it differently. For some, it's an awakening to the realization that they no longer need to seek validation from others or fit into a narrow mold. For others, it's a challenge to redefine their self-worth without relying on superficial markers of success. In truth, the wall is not a barrier, but a passage, a turning point in which women have the opportunity to reclaim their power, reshape their identity, and rediscover their passions. It's a space where women can shed societal expectations and live authentically, free from the confines of imposed timelines. Rather than a moment of desperation or loss, it is a moment of liberation, where women can redefine what it means to be successful, fulfilled, and loved. The true nature of the wall is not one of decline, but of renewal, growth, and strength. Desperation in relationships is a feeling many people experience, especially when they feel pressured by time, societal expectations, or personal insecurities. For women, this sense of desperation is often amplified by external influences that suggest that being in a relationship is a marker of success or happiness. We've been conditioned to believe that our value is tied to the status of our relationships, whether we're single, dating, married, or partnered. When we are not in a relationship, it's easy to internalize the idea that something is missing and that our lives are incomplete. This desperation can lead us to make choices that we wouldn't otherwise make, whether it's settling for a partner who doesn't align with our values, ignoring red flags, or rushing into a relationship just for the sake of being in one. But what if we could challenge this narrative? What if we could rethink the way we view relationships, and more importantly, the way we view our own worth? Desperation often comes from a place of feeling incomplete or not enough on our own. The desire for a relationship becomes more about filling an emotional gap than about creating a healthy, balanced partnership. In reality, the most meaningful relationships come from a place of self-assurance, confidence, and emotional maturity. When we are desperate, we may overlook these qualities in ourselves and in potential partners, focusing more on the idea of being in a relationship than on what a healthy and fulfilling relationship truly requires. Rethinking relationship desperation involves learning to value ourselves before seeking someone else to complete us. It's about understanding that our happiness and fulfillment cannot be dependent on another person. A healthy relationship should add to our lives, not be the only source of meaning or purpose. When we learn to be content with ourselves, to nurture our passions, and to embrace our own company, we start to approach relationships from a place of strength, not neediness. We stop rushing into connections out of fear of loneliness or societal pressure. Instead, we wait for relationships that are aligned with our true selves, ones that complement and support our journey rather than define it. Desperation in relationships also often arises from the fear of being left behind or feeling unimportant in a world that places so much emphasis on romantic connections. But what if we recognize that being single or taking time for self-discovery isn't a deficiency? It's an opportunity to grow, to understand ourselves, and to prepare for the kind of relationship that is truly deserving of our time and energy. In the absence of desperation, we can create a space where love is not sought after out of fear, but embraced when it arrives as a beautiful, natural extension of our own personal growth. The strength of independence in women is often understated or misunderstood in a society that encourages the pursuit of relationships as the ultimate form of fulfillment. Independence is not about isolation or rejecting love and connection. Rather, it is about having the power to stand alone, to make choices based on one's own desires and values, and to navigate life with a sense of autonomy and self-reliance. For many women, independence is a hard-earned trait, one shaped by overcoming obstacles and challenges. It is the ability to find fulfillment within oneself, not depending on anyone else to validate worth or happiness. A woman's strength and independence allows her to define her life on her terms, rather than fitting into societal molds or external expectations. She is able to prioritize her own needs, aspirations, and well-being, recognizing that she is whole on her own. This doesn't mean that she rejects relationships or the love of others. It means that she understands her worth doesn't hinge on her connection to anyone else. She can pursue her goals, build her career, invest in her passions, and nurture her own growth without feeling like she needs another person to complete her. This strength of independence also leads to a deeper understanding of personal boundaries. Women who embrace independence understand the importance of maintaining their own space and time, and they are not afraid to say no to things that don't serve their best interests. They become aware of their value and demand respect in every area of their lives. This mindset allows them to enter relationships from a position of strength rather than need, making choices that align with their true self instead of compromising out of fear of loneliness or societal judgment. Women who embrace independence are often less willing to settle for less than they deserve. They refuse to accept unhealthy relationships, toxic dynamics, or unbalanced power structures. They understand that true love comes from a place of mutual respect and that they have the right to choose the type of people and relationships they surround themselves with. Their sense of independence leads them to build fulfilling lives, not by depending on others, but by discovering and cultivating their own inner power. The power of independence also lies in its resilience. Women who stand strong in their independence often find strength in adversity, learning to adapt, problem solve, and take responsibility for their own lives. They are not waiting for someone to rescue them. They are their own source of strength, and in doing so, they inspire others to embrace their own power. For too long, women have been taught to measure their worth through the lens of their relationships, whether it's through romantic partnerships, familial roles, or societal expectations of marriage and motherhood. The idea that a woman's value is intrinsically linked to her relationship status has been ingrained in us. The pressure to find a partner, settle down, or fit into a traditional mold has often led to the idea that a woman is only truly complete when she is in a relationship. But this narrative fails to acknowledge one fundamental truth. A woman's worth is not determined by her relationship status. Redefining worth beyond relationships requires a shift in perspective, a recognition that a woman's value is not tied to how others perceive her or whether she is partnered with someone else. True worth comes from within, from self-awareness, personal growth, and the ability to stand firmly in one's own identity, independent of external validation. It's about understanding that every individual has intrinsic value that is not contingent upon being in a relationship, achieving a particular status, or meeting societal expectations. When we begin to redefine our worth, we acknowledge that we are whole in ourselves. We understand that our happiness and and fulfillment are not dependent on another person to complete us. Instead, we are able to pursue our passions, embrace our personal growth, and create lives that are meaningful on our terms. This shift allows us to stop measuring ourselves against others or seeking external approval to validate our existence. We begin to see that our value lies in the way we show up for ourselves, how we love ourselves, how we care for our bodies, how we invest in our passions, and how we contribute to the world around us. The beauty of redefining worth is that it frees us from the pressures that often come with seeking validation through relationships. It allows us to enter relationships as whole individuals who choose partnerships not out of need, but from a place of mutual respect and love. It empowers us to choose the right relationships that support our growth rather than those that merely fill a void. It's about embracing the truth that we are deserving of love, success, and happiness, regardless of whether we are in a relationship or not. When we redefine our worth beyond relationships, we free ourselves to live authentically, embracing our full potential and pursuing a life that is meaningful, fulfilling, and uniquely our own. This is a powerful realization that women must embrace in order to truly step into their strength and unlock their fullest potential. In the end, redefining our worth beyond relationships is about reclaiming our power and taking control of our own narrative. It's about recognizing that we are complete, valuable, and worthy exactly as we are, without needing anyone else to confirm that. By embracing self-love, independence, and authenticity, we create lives that are rich with purpose and fulfillment. When we stop defining ourselves through external circumstances, we open the door to endless possibilities, where our true worth shines brightly from within, allowing us to live fully and authentically.